Ethan Ward had explored many strange places in his life, but nothing felt as unusual as the silent desert outpost stretching before him. The sand around it was smooth, as if no wind had touched it for years. The metal walls were old yet had no rust, no dents, no signs of weather. It looked abandoned but also strangely alive. Ethan stepped closer with slow, careful breaths, each footstep echoing softly in the hot air. Dr. Liana Brooks followed behind him, scanning the ground with her device. Her screen flashed with strange readings she had never seen before. She frowned and tapped the side of the scanner, thinking it must be broken, but the numbers kept shifting rapidly. Something in this place reacted to every movement they made. Captain Rowan Hale stood guard at the entrance, watching the desert carefully. He did not like the silence here. It felt too perfect, too complete, like the entire area was holding its breath. He told Ethan and Liana to move slowly and not touch anything unless necessary. Ethan stepped through the doorway first. The moment he crossed it, the air changed. It felt heavier, cooler, and strangely thick. He stopped to look around. The hallway was long and dim, lit by a pale blue glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. There were no switches, no lamps, no wires. The light simply existed. Liana entered next and noticed something strange. Her scanner showed that the air here had different density than outside. Not dangerous, but unusual. She walked forward, speaking softly into her recorder, noting every detail. She looked calm, but inside she felt a strange worry she could not explain. Rowan entered last, and as soon as he stepped inside, the door behind him slid shut on its own. The sound was sharp and sudden. They all turned toward it at once. There was no button to open it again. No panel, just smooth metal. Rowan tried to force the door open, but it did not move. He called out to the ship through his communicator, but there was no signal, only static. He hid his frustration and told the others to stay focused. Ethan moved deeper into the hallway. He touched one of the walls gently, and a small shock went through his fingers. It was not painful, just surprising. The wall pulsed with faint light, as if it felt him. He pulled his hand back quickly, but the glow remained for a few seconds before fading again. Liana looked at Ethan and shook her head slowly, warning him not to touch anything else. But Ethan could not help being curious. Something about this place called him, as if it wanted him here. As they walked further inside, the hallway opened into a larger room filled with strange devices. None of them looked like Earth technology. The shapes were smooth and curved, with no sharp edges. Some floated in the air, turning slowly without any visible support. Others were silent and still, yet gave off a faint energy. Liana scanned the room again, and her eyes widened. The energy signatures changed every time Ethan moved. When Rowan or Liana walked, nothing happened. But Ethan's presence shifted the readings like a wave. Rowan noticed this too. "Why only him?" he whispered. Ethan did not answer. He was staring at something across the room. There was a cracked glass panel on the far wall. Behind it, a dim reflection showed Ethan's face. But something was wrong. Ethan blinked once. Then the reflection blinked again, a second later. As if trying to catch up, Ethan stepped backward suddenly, his heart beating fast. Rowan walked the reflection, trying to understand what he was seeing. He raised his hand, but his reflection moved normally. Only Ethan's reflection behaved strangely. Liana checked her scanner again. The numbers changed rapidly, almost violently. She told Ethan to step away from the panel. He listened, but his eyes stayed fixed on the reflection as it slowly faded out, like a ghost disappearing. A soft sound echoed through the room. It was not a voice, not a machine noise. It was something in between, like a whisper made of metal. Ethan turned toward the sound, but saw nothing. The room seemed to shift very slightly, as if the walls were breathing. Rowan tightened his grip on his gear. Liana looked worried now, more than before. She whispered to Ethan, asking if he felt anything strange. Ethan nodded. He could not explain it, but something here felt connected to him, as if the outpost recognized him. They walked deeper into the room. Every light flickered softly when Ethan stepped forward. Every device hummed a little louder. The air became cooler, almost cold. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The lights froze. The air grew silent. Even their footsteps made no sound. Ethan looked up at the ceiling, confused. And then reality seemed to flicker for the first time. The entire room shook for a brief second, like a picture tried to adjust its focus. The shapes around them stretched and returned to normal, almost too fast to understand. Liana grabbed Ethan's arm tightly and asked what he saw. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but another flicker hit them, this time stronger. The entire room shifted to a different color for a heartbeat, from blue to green, and then snapped back. Rowan ordered both of them to stand close. But Ethan could not move. He stared at a strange device at the center of the room. It glowed brighter and brighter, as if waking up from a long sleep. And inside the glow, Ethan thought he saw something move. Not a person, not an alien. Something that looked like reality folding in on itself, twisting slowly toward him. And the outpost felt more alive than ever. Marcus Flynn stepped into the desert outpost with slow, cautious steps. The air around him felt heavy, almost too still, like the place was waiting for someone. He held a small light in his hand, but the hallway ahead glowed with its own soft blue light. It was quiet. Far too quiet for a place that had sent out a distress signal only 2 days earlier. Behind him, Ilera Voss walked with her tablet raised, studying the strange symbols on the walls. They curved like waves, smooth and elegant, unlike anything she had ever seen in alien research. She tried taking pictures, but the images came out blurry, as if the symbols moved when she looked away. Dr. Aidan Clark followed last, checking his scanner. The device beeped softly with every few steps, showing faint readings of human brain activity. But the signals were old, stretched, and strange, like echoes of someone's thoughts frozen in the air. Are they still alive? Marcus asked quietly. Aidan shook his head. Not sure. The signatures don't match anything normal. They feel mixed, like more than one version of someone. Ilera looked up at that. More than one version? What does that even mean? Aidan didn't answer. He didn't know. Marcus pushed forward. His job was simple. Find the missing team and bring them home. But as he moved, the corridor behind them shifted. He didn't see it happen, but he felt it, a soft vibration, like the structure was stretching or folding. Ilera turned around and gasped. Marcus, the hallway. The straight corridor they had walked through was no longer straight. It now twisted slightly to the left, like a spiral beginning to form. Marcus stepped closer to check, and the moment he touched the wall, the metal surface rippled like water touched by wind. He jerked his hand back. What is this place? A soft sound drifted through the corridor. It was not a voice, not a machine, but something between them, like a whisper made of air and electricity. It echoed off the smooth walls, circling them slowly. Did you hear that? Ilera whispered. Marcus nodded. Stay close. Don't walk toward any sound. They kept moving, and the corridor stretched longer with every step. It was impossible. They walked only a minute, but the hallway felt twice as long now. Aidan checked the scanner again and frowned deeply. It's changing, he said. The corridor is rearranging itself while we walk. Why? Marcus asked. Aidan showed the scanner. The readings spike every time you step forward. Not me, not Ilera, only you. Marcus felt a cold shiver run through him. First Ethan Ward's team, now his own. Why were these alien structures reacting only to certain people? They reached a fork in the hallway, but the left path suddenly faded, dissolving like smoke. Only the right path remained. They looked at one another quietly. Something here was choosing the direction for them. They walked deeper until they reached a room that looked like an archive. Floating crystals hovered in the air, spinning slowly and glowing faintly. Ilera reached for one carefully, but before she could touch it, it brightened on its own. A projection appeared in the air, shifting, blurry, and unstable. Marcus's eyes widened. It was Ethan Ward, but not exactly. The image flickered between two versions of him, one calm, one afraid. Their voices overlapped, creating an eerie, doubled sound. Don't trust the corridor, the voices said, in perfect harmony and perfect confusion. Then the projection vanished. Ilera stepped back, her breath shaking. Marcus, that wasn't just a recording. It reacted when you walked in. Marcus didn't answer. His heart was beating fast now. He looked around the room, hoping for another clue, but the air seemed to warp slightly around him. The floating crystals rotated faster when he moved. Aiden moved to the far wall, where a strange device hummed softly. This matches nothing in our database. But the readings, it's like this place is not tied to one time. It shifts a little forward, a little back. Time, Elara whispered. Are you saying the outpost is moving through time? Not fully, Aiden said. More like it is out of sync. It's slipping between layers. Before they could discuss more, a sudden tremor moved through the floor. The walls expanded outward for a moment, and the whole room stretched like rubber before snapping back into shape. Marcus grabbed Alara's arm to steady her. It's happening again, Aiden said. The same thing mentioned in Ethan's logs, reality flickering. A soft whisper came again, closer this time. A strange mechanical breathing echoed around them. Marcus raised his light, pointing it down the hallway they'd entered from. But it wasn't the same hallway now. It had grown taller, the ceiling lifting upward. The walls curved inward like a giant rib cage. A soft green glow replaced the old blue. It's morphing, Elara said, rebuilding itself. Suddenly, the lights brightened and the air shifted pressure. Their hair lifted slightly, as if gravity was unsure what to do. A shadow moved far down the corridor. Something shaped like a person, but too blurry and thin, as if it were made of stretched glass. Marcus raised his voice. Hello? Who's there? The shadow froze. Then it split into two shadows. And both turned their heads toward Marcus at the same time. Elara grabbed his arm. Marcus, don't move. But it was too late. The shadows flickered once, like broken holograms, and vanished completely. Aiden looked pale. Those weren't people. They were echoes, versions of someone passing through different timelines. Marcus swallowed hard. Then where's Ethan? Where are the others? Aiden pointed to the scanner. Every reading leads deeper inside. Something is pulling them, and maybe pulling us too. The corridor behind them twisted again, slowly closing like a throat. Marcus stared ahead. The only path was forward now, and whatever waited in the shifting outpost wanted them to come closer. Jared Miles stepped into the outpost with a slow breath, trying not to show the worry he carried inside. He had read the reports from the first two teams. Strange lights, changing halls, voices that were not voices. None of it sounded real. Yet here he was, standing in the same place where two groups had already vanished. Serena Quinn walked beside him with a small device that measured gravity and air pressure. She kept checking the numbers again and again because they changed every few seconds. Sometimes the air felt thick, sometimes thin. Sometimes her own footsteps sounded late, like her steps happened twice. Behind them, Professor Islandhart walked with steady, slow steps. He studied the glowing walls with a calm face, but his eyes were sharp. He focused on things Jared and Serena didn't even notice. Tiny flickers in light, small vibrations in the floor, faint reflections where there should have been none. The corridor they entered was wide and empty. The blue light from the walls looked weaker than before, like the place was tired. The silence felt heavier the deeper they went. Jared tried his communicator, but all he heard was soft static. He expected that. Still, the complete silence made him uneasy. Serena pointed her device toward the ceiling. Gravity is unstable again. It keeps bending up and down. Jared nodded. Stay close. If the floors shift, I don't want anyone falling. They walked through a narrow hallway that opened into a massive round chamber. The moment they stepped inside, everything changed. Objects floated in the air. Small stones, metal pieces, fragments of old equipment. They moved slowly in circles, as if caught in their own small orbits. Some objects were upside down, others sideways, all drifting without sound. Serena stared with wide eyes. This shouldn't be possible. The gravity here is breaking. Professor Hart walked forward carefully. A small stone floated past his face. He touched it gently and it moved away as if sliding through water. This room is an echo chamber, he said quietly. Not for sound, but for reality. Jared frowned. What do you mean? Hart pointed at the floating objects. They are caught between moments. Not here, not gone. Left behind by whatever is pulling time apart in this place. Serena shivered slightly. So the outpost is breaking time? Hart shook his head. Not breaking. Bending. Try and hold too many versions of itself. Jared looked around the chamber, scanning every corner. Then he saw something glowing on the far wall. What's that? They walked toward it slowly. As they got closer, the glow grew brighter and changed colors, blue, green, then white. When they reached it, they found a holographic screen built into the wall. The screen flickered and then showed images. Not pictures. Faces. Ethan, Marcus, Rowan, Liana, even people Jared had never met. Thousands of faces appeared, one after another, shifting like pages of a book flipping too fast. Some faces were smiling, some frightened, some confused. All of them were the same people, but from different timelines. Serena stepped back. This can't be real. Professor Hart studied the screen carefully. These are imprints, he said. Shadows of versions of them from different realities. The outpost recorded them. Jared felt cold. But why would it do that? Before Hart could answer, the chamber lights dimmed and a soft, humming voice filled the air. It sounded like speech, but not in any language they knew. The voice came from everywhere at once, echoing inside their minds. Jared froze. Serena covered her ears, even though the sound wasn't loud. Professor Hart narrowed his eyes and watched the walls around them. The light changed again and formed a shape in the center of the room. An alien figure, tall and elegant, built of shifting lines of light. It wasn't solid. It was a projection, a memory left behind by the builders of this place. The alien figure moved slowly, as if speaking with its hands and arms. The chamber translated the movements into a clearer voice. We tried to save our world, the voice said softly, but reality would not hold. We built this place to test the stability of different timelines. We wanted to choose one where we survived. Serena stared at the projection. Did they survive? The alien figure flickered and the voice lowered. No timeline with us remained stable. We failed. Then the figure turned its glowing face toward Jared. Though it had no eyes, Jared felt it staring directly at him. You walk between stable paths, the voice said. Your kind is different. Many versions of you remain. Jared felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean? The alien shape flickered again and the room shook lightly. It means this place is watching you, testing you, searching for a path where your world remains safe. Before they could ask anything else, the projection vanished like smoke blown by wind. The floating object suddenly spun faster, moving in tighter circles as the chamber began to hum loudly. The ground pressed upward for a moment, then dropped, as if gravity was confused. Serena grabbed Jared's arm to steady herself. Hart pointed toward another opening on the far side of the chamber. We have to move. The echo chamber is shifting again. The chamber lights flickered rapidly, turning the room into flashes of blue and white. The floating objects bumped into each other and shattered into dust. Jared pushed Serena forward. Move. Now. They ran through the exit as the chamber behind them stretched like soft rubber, then snapped back violently. The hallway ahead was darker, quieter. But Jared felt the air watching him in a strange way, almost like the outpost itself was paying attention to every breath he took. Serena whispered, Jared, the aliens failed to save themselves. But why is this place reacting to us? Jared didn't answer. He only stared ahead into the silent corridor. Something was waiting for them deeper inside. Something that knew they were coming. Raven Eston stepped through the entrance of the outpost with a firm, steady breath. She had been trained for difficult missions, but this one felt different from the moment she arrived. The air inside the outpost felt colder than the desert outside, almost like she had walked into a different world. Her boots echoed softly, and the sound seemed to stretch, as if time itself was a little slow here. Behind her, Noah Callan checked a small panel on his wrist. The device measured energy changes, but the numbers kept jumping wildly. He frowned and adjusted again, but nothing made sense. It was like the walls around them were breathing, expanding and shrinking in tiny ways that humans could not see. Dr. Mira Solis followed quietly, her eyes focused on the glowing patterns along the hallway. The symbols pulsed like heartbeats, soft and slow, then suddenly fast. She took notes quickly, whispering to herself about timelines, overlaps, and dimensional instability. Raven looked around with sharp eyes. She had read the reports from the previous teams. Strange lights, flickering rooms, voices from nowhere, and shadows that acted like lost versions of real people. She believed none of it until she walked inside. Now she believed everything. The hallway seemed almost alive. Sometimes it shortened, sometimes it stretched, and sometimes in the corner of her eyes, she thought she saw someone else walking beside her, someone who moved like her, looked like her, but vanished when she turned to look. Noah checked his device again. "It's reacting to us," he said. "Especially to you, Raven." Raven raised a brow. "Why me?" He shook his head. "Maybe the outpost sees you differently. Or maybe your mind is easier for it to read." Dr. Mira stopped walking suddenly. She pointed to the floor where the metal plates rippled like water. The ripple spread forward, rearranging the floor into a new shape. The hallway ahead split into two paths. Both paths looked identical at first, but Raven felt a cold sensation on the left side. A strange pull, as if something deep inside the outpost wanted her to choose it. Mira whispered, "The outpost is choosing. It wants us to take one path." Raven stepped forward carefully. The moment she moved toward the left hallway, the right one flickered like static and disappeared. The wall smoothed over as if it had never existed. Noah stared at the blank metal. "It's rewriting itself in real time. This place is reading our thoughts." They kept walking until the hallway opened into a circular room. The ceiling rose high, and lines of blue and green light moved across it like slow-moving rivers. The room felt heavier, as if the air pushed down on their shoulders. And then they saw something impossible. 3 versions of Raven stood at the far end of the room. Each one looked like her, but slightly different. One wore a different suit. One had shorter hair. One had a scar on her cheek. The real Raven did not. Noah froze. "Raven, those aren't shadows." Dr. Mira stepped forward slowly. "Those are versions of you from other timelines." The 3 alternate Ravens turned their heads at the same time. Their eyes glowed faintly. None of them looked surprised to see the real Raven. Instead, they looked at her as if she was the version they had been waiting for. Raven felt her heartbeat slow, not in fear, but in confusion. "What do they want?" Mira whispered, "Maybe they're warnings or guides." One of the alternate Ravens stepped forward. Her movements were slow, almost heavy, like she was fighting against gravity. She lifted her hand and pointed toward Raven. The lights in the room flickered. The floor rippled again. Noah grabbed Raven's arm. "Don't go near them." But the alternate Ravens vanished suddenly, like lights being switched off. The room shifted violently. The walls glowed red, then green, then blue. The air felt tight, like it was forming around them. Raven stumbled back. "What's happening?" Mira checked her notes quickly. "The outpost is trying to choose a timeline. It's testing which version of you fits its system." Noah's device beeped loudly. "It's reading your choices. Every step you take changes the path." The room stretched outward, becoming longer and narrower. Raven could hear faint whispers in the walls, voices that sounded like Ethan, Marcus, Serena, and others. All the missing team members, repeating small fragments of their last words. Then Raven heard her own voice whisper back to her, "Do not trust what looks like me." Her entire body froze. She spun around, trying to find where the whisper came from, but the room was empty again. Myra's face went pale. "Raven, those alternate versions, they might not all be stable. Some timelines break. Some versions fade. Not all of them survive." The room twisted sharply, and suddenly the 3 of them stood in a new hallway. This one was darker, narrower. Soft green lights glowed from the walls. Their shadows stretched long, too long, almost reaching around corners. Noah whispered, "Are we still in the same timeline?" Raven touched the wall. It felt warm, almost alive. The wall pulsed under her hand like a heartbeat. "No," she said slowly. "I don't think we are." The hallway ahead flickered between two shapes, one leading upward, one downward. The lights blinked fast, like the outpost was making a decision, or trying to force them to make one. Miro whispered, "Raven, whichever way you choose will decide the timeline we fall into." Raven stepped forward. An entire outpost seemed to hold its breath. Time stretched in around her, as if waiting for her next move. And somewhere deep inside the shifting outpost, something whispered softly, "One choice changes everything." Ethan stood in the center of the floating chamber, feeling the strange hum rise through the metal floor. The shifting lights around him grew brighter, almost like the outpost was waking up. He had survived the illusions, the copies, the echo visions, and the split timelines. The alien structure had tried everything to study him. But now, it seemed ready to judge him. The floating cube in front of him rotated slowly. Each face showed a different version of Earth. One showed Earth peaceful, with blue oceans and bright green forests. Another showed Earth dark and burning. Another showed Earth ruled by strange alien symbols. Ethan felt fear twist inside him. He wondered what this place wanted from him. A calm voice filled the chamber. It did not sound human, but it was clear enough for him to understand. "You endured," the voice said. "Your kind survives what others do not." Ethan looked up. "I'm just one person." "Humans are persistent," the voice replied. "You resist even when logic says to surrender. We studied you to understand why." Ethan took a breath. "You could have asked. We did not know how you would answer." The walls around him shifted again, forming long windows. They revealed huge machines outside, tall metal towers with swirling lights and impossible shapes. He suddenly understood that the entire outpost was not just a shelter. It was part of something far bigger, something alive. "You defended your identity even when the outpost changed your past," the voice continued. "You protected your memories even when we tried to rewrite them. This ability is rare." Ethan stepped forward. He felt strength rise inside him again, the same strength that helped him survive the illusions. Humans aren't perfect, but we don't give up. There was a brief silence, as if the intelligence inside the outpost was thinking. "We offer a choice," the voice said. "Leave now, and your world will continue as before. Or stay and learn what we have seen. Learn what your kind may become." Ethan felt his heart beat fast. He thought about the desert outside, the silence, and his long journey. He had come here running from his old life, unsure of his place in the world. But the outpost had shown him many versions of himself, some broken, some strong, some brave. It made him realize something simple but powerful. He still had more in him to fight for. He lifted his chin. "Show me what humans can become." The chamber grew brighter. The cube stopped rotating and displayed one image, Earth glowing with blue shields, strong cities, and humans traveling the stars. It looked peaceful and powerful at the same time. "This is the path your kind may choose," the voice said. "If you learn, if you unite, if you rise." Ethan felt a strange pull, like energy was flowing into his mind. He saw visions. Humans building great machines, humans standing against dangers, humans stepping into unknown places without fear. He saw himself older, guiding others, teaching them what he learned. The visions faded slowly, leaving him breathless but stronger. When he opened his eyes, the chamber doors slid open. Sunlight entered from outside. The desert wind blew in. The outpost was quiet now, almost peaceful. "Your species is young," the voice said, "but with courage it may lead. Go now, Ethan Ward. Carry what you have seen." The lights dimmed and the walls stopped shifting. The outpost was no longer testing him. It was letting him go. Ethan stepped out into the sunlight. The air felt warmer, clearer, almost like the world was new. He looked back at the entrance of the alien outpost. For the first time, he felt no fear, only purpose. He whispered to himself, "Humans fight. Humans learn. Humans rise." He walked into the desert with steady steps. The journey ahead was long, but he no longer felt alone. He carried a message, the visions, and the belief that humans were more than they seemed. The desert wind moved behind him, but he did not turn back. The outpost had given him a future, a future that belonged not just to him, but to all humans, and he was ready to protect it.